Hello. Hello, Ruth. How are you? How are you? How are you? I hope you're doing great. Hi, Amber. Good to see you. I hope you're doing well. Let me know if you see and hear me okay. You're okay. Bracing for rough weather. I think we're supposed to get some rough weather too. Ugh. Yeah, I think we're supposed to get some crappy stuff too. What are you supposed to get, Ruth? What kind of weather are you supposed to be getting? We're just going to chat for a minute until everybody kind of wanders in. Hello, Ava. Hi, Shu. You see and hear okay. Okay, good. Tornadoes. Yuck. Yuck, yuck, yuck. Nobody wants tornadoes. That, excuse me. For real, nobody wants tornadoes. That is one of those things that happens here too, for sure. Sue, how's your day going? I hope you're doing well. It's beautiful weather. I mean, as far as sunny and warm, but it is windy out there. Let me tell you, it is so windy. So windy. I'm just getting my act together here, sort of. Hopefully, kind of, sort of. I need to go make a quick copy. So if you guys will just talk amongst yourselves for a minute. Maybe not. Maybe I don't. Yes, yeah, I do. Okay, I'm going to go make a copy. Can you guys entertain yourselves for just a second? I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. I'm back. Oop. Purple Nana. Hello, Linda. Bum, 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 bum. You love the hair? Yeah, well, the hair had to get cut. Oof. Not only did it have to get cut, it definitely had to get some color on it. There's not a lot of things I'm vain about. I don't know that I'm real vain about the hair color, but just vain enough. Just vain enough. And I won't color it myself. So I pay for somebody else to do that for me. You like my earrings? Those, I think, were my mom's. I think they were. Anyway, I thought, oh, I'll wear something different. You always see me in the same thing. Same old thing. Flannel shirts. Yeah, same thing. And over and over. Clocks had changed? Yes, they did. I wish they'd leave it alone. I thought they were going to stop that stuff, but nope, they did not. Hey, Dorothy. You throw colored powders and water at each other. I've seen that. I've seen that. Pictures of that. And I thought, wow, I can't even... Do you know how sick that would make me if I inhaled those powders? It would make me so sick. It really would. You want your hair purple again, but you can't be bothered. I've never gone crazy colors. I thought about it one time, but I didn't do it. I didn't do it. I thought about it. I talked to my hairdresser about it, actually. And we went to high school together. We started going to school together when I think we were freshmen in high school. Colored boogers is right, Amber. Ugh, it would be terrible. It would be really, really terrible. Anyway, yeah, I got hung up on colored boogers. You're making me laugh. What were we just talking about? Anyway. Oh, yeah, I talked to my hairstylist about doing my hair some crazy color or something, or doing some, I don't know, some streaks or something. And she said, there are people that do that, but I'm not one of them. She said, so if you want that, we'll have to get another stylist to do it. And I'm like, good enough, good enough. Good enough. Okay, so it is after my starting time, so let's do that. Let's get going. I have some stuff I'm going to show you. First of all, these are just more things that I found when I was looking through all of my stuff as I'm putting things away, organizing and putting stuff away. Yeah, exactly, Amber. These are all cards that Tam Bitgood. I haven't seen Tam for a while. I'm not sure I could even handle that with the powders, but that would be better. I'm not sure I could handle that. Yeah. Anyway, these are some cards that Tam Bitgood sent me over the course of quite a while. She was so good about sending cards to me when I was dealing with the end of Clausman's life. And there were several people that were just so thoughtful and kind. Not that anybody wasn't thoughtful and kind, but there were just a few people that went above and beyond. And so Tam certainly was. When you see all these cards, I'm going to show them to you. And so I just want you to get a load of how they are. And I think most of them go the direction I'm going to show you, but I'm not totally positive. So anyway, let's take a look at these. They're note cards. They're kind of the regular Let me measure before I switch the camera. They're 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. Yeah, 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 cards, so you'll have an idea. And if some of them seem the wrong way around, I'll flip them. Anyway, so she would, I think what she told me one time, okay, yeah, she says here, many of my cards, which all start on 10 by 12 watercolor paper, are like your found family drawings. I put down a layer of color through ink and watercolor on very wet paper so the colors spread and mix. Then I find the design in the colors and it becomes something beautiful like this purple card. So that's, Ruth is going to lose her mind over this. Yeah, Shu, I would just have to watch. Hi, Rhonda. Good to see you. Hey, Dar. Aw, thank you. So I just thought I would show these to you. So that's what she says her process is. She designs on a 10 by 12 piece of watercolor paper with ink and watercolor and then finds whatever the design is. You'll be bopping in and out. That is fine. That's perfect. So there's one. And this one may be this is the wrong way around. Yeah, this way. I should bind these into a little book is what I should do, because they are so beautiful and her messages were always so sweet and encouraging. I'm just going to leave them here so you can take a look at them. I know, aren't they beautiful? Hey, Jan. Welcome, welcome. This one, let's see. Okay, this one goes this way. I'll try and, how about if I look at them before I switch them for you? Here's this one, and this one is cut out. So this one was cut out and applied to the card. These are printed. This one was printed on the card, and this one was printed on the card. But this one is a cutout that she then attached to the card. But isn't that pretty? Look at that sweet little ladybug and the butterfly. And a lot of what she did at one point, yeah, you'll see them coming up here, have this sort of stained glass patchwork kind of art. Hey, Deborah, good to see you. I know, they're beautiful. And I don't know how she decides. That's who did these. Tamery, known as Tam, Bitgood, Bitgood. I don't know how if she has a set list of people that she sends cards to, or if she just makes cards and has them available. I'm not really sure. But anyway, yeah. And then this one, here's another one of those kind of stained glass-esque. This is printed on the card also. So I'm guessing I'm just guessing that she may print them on cardstock and then create the card after that. But I don't really know. I don't know how she does it. But isn't that pretty? So cool. Here's another one. These are all by the same person, Tam Bitgood. I know, it is cool. I clearly put these all different directions in my stack. She has her own stack in my in my stuff. Here's this one. But she was just so kind and thoughtful when I was going through all that end of life stuff and just so completely overwhelmed by what was happening in my life and my world and my marriage, and just everything was so upside down. Hello, Jill. Everything was so upside down back then, and just to have any kind of normal anything was so wonderful. Because I wasn't doing much of any creating. I was journaling. That was the most creative thing I did, was journal and organize. and organize my life so I could keep going. Sorry, I've got still a little bit of the residual cough and throat thing going on. There's another one. This was November of 2021. I was really getting down to the, of course not knowing, but I was getting toward the end of what was going on. I have no idea when that's happening, how long you're dealing with things for sure. This one is very different looking from the other ones. I find that. And the next one is also. Hey, Marilyn. Good to see you. Thanks for popping in. I'm showing cards made by Tamari Bitgood. This one is really interesting. Not often do you see just something done primarily with one or two pencils. Yeah. I know, it's been a long time. It's been a long time. Okay, there's that one. If Tam was here, she could tell us how she did these, but I love that. And that's all part of the card. That's not afterwards. That's how she gets that transparent look. Hey, Jan. Oh, good. That's neat. I'm glad you have her number and could let her know. I mean, you can see there's a common theme of her. You can tell that one person pretty much created all these, and yet they're very distinctive and individualized. You know, they kind of have a similar vibe, and yet they're different. Yeah. Hey, Joan. Oh, she was excited. Oh, that's nice. I just love. She'll never have any idea how much those things meant to me. There's no way, and I can't talk about it a whole lot, you know, because if I do, it will make me emotional, and I have enough trouble with that. I don't need to work myself into an emotional whatever. But holidays, and then this one is different than all the rest. This one I think she sent to me. There's nothing inside. I think she sent this to me, so just as a reminder kind of thing. The circles of women around us weave invisible nets of love that carry us when we're weak and sing with us when we're strong. By Sark. Yeah, so true. So anyway, yeah, so I wanted to show you those. Share those with you. So I have my own little collection, which I think I really should bind into a book. This came from our Rhonda, our Jinx in the chat, one of our mods, one of our great mods that I appreciate so much. So this is from Rhonda, and this is she does wonderful watercolor, and this is all layered up and gorgeousness. I couldn't paint this if I tried, but you know, I can certainly admire what other people do, and then it's, you know, it's layered in the background. Isn't it pretty? It's just gorgeous. And then even the inside was layered up. Yeah, I love this. So there's that one. And let's see, then there's this little packet of loveliness. This came from Linda and Tim. Let's see. Tim made this little travel notebook for me. She said, every time you ask if you should do something new, meaning me, if I ask if I should do something new, Tim says, heck yes. So this was a little travel book that Tim made for me. Tim Renz. Ms. Barb from Tim. So it's got, I didn't ever want to use it because I love just having it. So he put it together using, looks like embroidery floss. But I didn't want to use it, so I've left it. Pack your bags. Isn't that neat? And he put a charm on it. Beautiful charm. With a bulb pin. And the cover's all layered up. It's got a mandala. It's a piece of lace, I'm sure, but it's got a sparkly mandala. He must have put some sparkle on here. Isn't that pretty though? So that was from Linda and Tim. Yeah, we're supposed to get weather also. And then this was on my 70th birthday, which it's been a hot second since I turned 70. This was from Nanette Church. And this is the card. I mean, everything she did, and this, I don't know how long she spent getting things ready to send to me for my birthday. Honestly, I have no idea. But, I mean, you can look at this and see that this took a lot of time. And so she sent me this, she made the card. She sent me these wonderful, this whole box full of wonderful handmade things. And then inside on this card, she wrote the short story and she wrote the long story. And it is a riot. I'll read you the short story. Happy birthday to you. Here's to a new decade of fulfillment, abundance, joy, and love. I am also turning 70 in November. The short story is, a lot of thought went into this. Enjoy, Nanette. And it did. Boy, not only just a lot of thought, but it was a ton of time. I mean, just even figuring out how to hold the short story and the long story into the card, that took time. And then there's a whole, this is the contents of what was in the box. Yeah. So very, very thoughtful and amazing, the whole thing. Isn't that neat? And then she wrapped it up and she said, sorry I had to use duct tape to close the box. No one should ever apologize for using duct tape because half the time we peel it off and use it in something else, right? So I'm going to give you a peek into my prior life prior to doing this online. Laura, hey girl, good to see you. I haven't seen you in a while. Are you still streaming? I haven't seen you in quite a while. Hi, Jan. Illicit liquid and crayon replacement. Jan, you are too much. By the way, I don't know if you can see her. No, you can't. My studio companion is in here with me. She's on the floor. I'll show you. You haven't had a lot of time to stream. Oh, you're working. Gotcha. Let me see if I can move my camera over here so you can see her. This is going to be terrible camera work, just so you know. She's black, and so she absorbs all the light. That's Muppet down there. Yeah, so she's laying on her pallet. She is like a puppy these days, and so I have to keep her with me or have her controlled because she is just like an unpredictable. You know how unpredictable puppies are? That's this one. She's getting close. She's 16 and a half. And so, yeah, she's I guess she deserves to be like this, but holy moly, she's a challenge. Anyway, back in my days prior to streaming, I was a doll maker, doll pattern maker, and doll maker. I know, she's a sweet girl. She is. Well, Laura, it's so good to see you pop into chat. How old is your son now? I was thinking about that the other day, because we've seen so many kids grow up and grandkids grow up and stuff. And he was such a cutie pie. Anyway, before I started really streaming live with you guys, before I even knew about streaming or figured it out at all, I was a doll maker, a doll pattern designer. And so one of the things I was involved in some groups, some online groups, and there was even an in-person group that I had started. And the online groups did what we called, a couple of times I did this, they were called travel dolls. And so you made a doll and you wrote a story about it, like an introductory story, and we'd form a group, like, 5 or 6 people. And then you write a story and you'd include a book with the doll, and you'd make up all the facts and figures about the doll and include whatever you wanted to, information about yourself personally. And then the dolls would all rotate. So you would send your doll to the same person each time. Or whatever doll you had, you'd send to the same person. And then when you had, I think it was a month, and then that doll had to rotate to the next person. That's okay. That's okay. Cola's 15. Oh my goodness. 15. Wow. It's amazing. That's neat. I hope he's doing well. Oh, thank you, Laura. Thank you. I am doing very well. I'm very happy. I got married in October, and so I have a second chance at in a way that I never thought I would. So it does not diminish my relationship with Claus Man or Elton's relationship with his wife at all. But it is so wonderful to be able to have a companion and connection again. So I've been married 5 months yesterday. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So anyway, this I thought I would show you. I don't have the doll with me. Oh, there's a picture of her though. And so you can see what she looked like. And so I thought I would just show you. So this was the journal that went with the doll. So this is the journal, and this is the doll that I made. And this was a picture of our family way back in the day. So there's Claus Man and Race and me, and our 3 dogs back then. And then I wrote about her name was Cindy Rose. That was the doll's name. And then it went on to the next person, and they wrote in the journal, and they added things to her, and they sent, you could put in pictures or postcards or whatever you wanted to from where you lived. There was no shortage of space. This one went to, I think this one went to Australia. Yeah, this one was in Sydney, Australia. This was back in 1998. And so this was just, it was a really neat thing to do. There's Cindy Rose. This was her hat. That she collected things as she went. So I did the underwear before she left. I made the doll and dressed her in underwear. And then, so she looked like this. So she had shoes and underwear, and her hair was done, and her face was done, So it was all the things, but a simple doll. And then as she went around, she collected things. So this gal was a hat maker. So she did a wonderful, wonderful hat for her. Anyway, and so that was all the things from all the different people. Now, the thing that you have to have, and with online exchanges, yeah, there is always the potential that things aren't going to go well. And we had one person in our group, I don't know if it was this one or the next one, because I did at least 2 of these travel dolls, maybe 3, I don't remember, it's been a while. I've slept since then, I've told you that. But we had one person that for whatever reason collected all the dolls, and then she ended up with, I don't know if her life disintegrated or whatever, but she ended up with all the dolls. And then of course it was horrendously expensive for her to ship them out. And anyway, it was a whole, you can get into a real nightmare with that kind of stuff, but anyway, yeah, you can get into a real nightmare with some of those things. Okay, so that's kind of the walk back through history. But I got her back. I got the doll back, and it seemed like all the dolls I did, all the ones I sent out, I think I got back. Hello, Jean, or Jan? Jean, sorry. Okay, so what we've been doing on Monday nights, and I think we did Friday as well, we worked through a little bit of this collage journal, and so I thought, collage this journal. So I thought I'd show you real quickly in case you weren't here. And if you want to do this on Monday night, we're going to work through another page or something. I don't know, page or 2. I don't know exactly because I kind of wait and see what jumps out at me right before I stream. Aw, thank you, Amber. That was so sweet. She loves treats, let me tell you. She is a treat fiend. She really is. I started to say a treat hound, but she's a hound. She loves treats. So thank you. That's very sweet. So Monday night I will be here. Then I will not be back for 2 weeks. Let me look at my calendar real quick so I can tell you for sure. So I will be here on the 17th, which is Monday. I will be gone the 21st, the 24th, the 8th, and the 31st, and the 4th of April. I won't be back until the 7th of April. Okay. So just so you guys know, I'm not sick. We're taking a vacation. It is a vacay. It is a vacay. And then when we get back, hopefully we will get me moved the rest of the way in. I hope. And get my house dealt with. All right, so this is the journal that we were doing. I'm just going to give you a quick look through it so you can see if it's something you want to do. It's by Eleanor Shakespeare, sorry. I know that this book is no longer, I believe it's no longer in print. Ruth said she found it someplace for $7. Ava bought it but hasn't received it yet. So, check it out on the thrift books or whatever and see. So this was the page that the book belongs to, so we played around with that the other day, and I still will probably doodle around this some more. Let's see, what else do we do? We did this page. Do you ever wish you could bottle a moment? Yeah. And Amazon, a used copy. Okay. Thrift books. There you go. So we're going to work in this a little bit, or I will work in this on Monday, and then you guys can work on it on your own before I get back, and we'll continue on probably on Monday nights anyway, on April the 7th and forward. So this had bottles in the background. I decided to just collage a bunch of pictures on it. I did use pencil and penciled in some bottle shapes, which I'll go back and add with, fill them in with ink. And so these were particularly amazing moments in my life, poignant moments. And this was just a snapshot. It was just like whatever pictures I had that leaped out at me, those are the ones I printed. That in that moment seemed wonderful. So this is my daughter-in-law, Izzy. That's my son, Race. This was the day I got married. I don't know if I'm worried about getting married or worried about Izzy putting makeup on me. I don't know. But here we are recently, February 16th. That's me. That's Elton. Race. This is my granddaughter, Christy. This is, her mother was my stepdaughter, her husband and their little boy. They have a little girl, but she was apparently outside playing or something. This is Claus Man. These are the 3 grandchildren. This is this one right here. And I don't know what Claus Man has on, but he was, the kids were dressing him up or something. This was this was a wedding picture. This was us on Thanksgiving this past year. Grandchildren, their 2 children. And these pictures are my granddaughter. This granddaughter, when she was 4, in 1996, she was about 4. This was a dress that I made for her. This is her little girl. So this little girl, that's the mommy. And they look so much alike. This is the baby, her little baby, and that's Race holding him. This was another dress that I made for Christy. They had the hat and they wanted a dress to go with it, so I made the dress. It says Princess of Quite a Lot. There's our Chance in November, sweet boy. And this is Christy and Emily making a silly face. Yeah. So sweet. So anyway, those were moments I wanted to bottle in that moment. You can't, when you're doing something like this kind of book, if you labor over it and want to pick all the specific perfect moments, you are going to drive yourself nuts. So just take the snapshot in time. You can always do more things in a different journal, but don't try to limit yourself to the perfect moments, the perfect whatever. Just go for it. And so, yeah, that's my recommendation. And then what else? This was the other one that I did, which is Need a Helping Head, a lot on your mind. And so that's what I filled. These were all heads. And so it was just, I just collaged on whatever was in my collage basket, actually. I'm still going to probably add some stuff. And I've written some captions that I'm going to ink in. I was doing stuff in pencil as I was waiting for the dentist the other day. I also went through some of the other pages and made notes of, some potential ideas for things to put in on some of these pages. So there is that. So I have some ideas, a little bit of thought, for kind of what I wanted to do. Fill the frames with photos of friends and family. This will probably be my goofy relatives because those are my peeps. Fill the cabinet full of things that you're curious about. That'll be a fun page to do. Anyway, it's a fun book. And I think that if you want to play along, you're welcome to do that. Hi, Joni. Jim Croce, Time in a Bottle. Yeah, for real. Okay, and so I thought we would visit a blast from the past. Because again, I'm going through stuff and coming up with things where I'm like, whoa, wow, really? This is cool. Really? I've forgotten about this. And this is one of those things. I had this all in a plastic bag, and I thought, I'll get that out and show it to you. Let's see. Here it is. Okay. All right. Get myself organized a little bit. And I thought we'd play with this a little bit today. I was going through pictures. This was quite a while ago. I don't know when I did 2018 I did this originally. And so I was going through pictures, and so this is, I had a bunch of pictures that my dad had taken that were just kind of leftover pictures that, were hanging around at my mom's house at one point. And so I kept pictures that I thought might be potential inspiration for art. These are amaryllis, and my dad loved to grow amaryllis, and he would grow lots of them because amaryllis multiply. They're a bulb and they multiply. And so these were some of the pictures that he had. This was, can't remember what this is. Did I write it on here? No. I don't know. Maybe one of you guys knows what this is. But I thought this was such an interesting shape. I never did do anything with this one because it was too much the same. But I don't remember what this one was called. It's not an aloe plant. It's a different plant, but I can't remember. Anyway. And lilies, he had a bunch of lilies that he liked to grow. And I love growing lilies also. And so I was particularly drawn to these. I planted had a big lily bed over at my house at one point with lots of different colors. Some of the Asiatic lilies and tiger lilies and all that kind of stuff. So I love the lilies. Easter lilies, I love all of those. And so this was, he liked to zoom in, and take close-up photos. I don't think it's a yucca, but I don't remember. It's a house plant of some kind here, but I can't remember. Anyway, I don't know what it is. And I had one other one that was a night blooming cereus, I think. That's a white plant, and it only blooms for like one night, but it's kind of it's my ickiest color, which is off-white. For doing artwork, I don't like off-white. I like walls in off-white, but yeah. Lilies are in full bloom. Cool. And then I found this one in I have some photo albums that my mom gave me. And this picture was in the photo album. I was going to get the photo album and show you the pictures of her with me. This was my dog. She's a boxer. And her name was Wendy. My parents got her when I think I was just a few months old. And she was a few weeks old when they got her. And she was my companion until I was in 8th grade. So I was around 13 or 14. And hi, Linda. I don't know what family that's in, honestly. I really don't. It looks kind of like it's in the aloe family or the mother-in-law tongue, but I don't know. Anyway, so this is my dog, okay? So from those pictures, I took them and I started playing with paper piecing the images. And so the first thing I did, I'll show you the progression. Her name was Wendy. So the progression with Wendy went through a thing like this. So I took tracing paper and put it put it over the image, and I divided her up into the simplest shapes possible. So where she had a white chest and she had some white on her feet, I eliminated those and just went to just very, very super basic shapes, okay? So I didn't make any distinction for the ears or anything. I just put in the basic shapes for her. Then I enlarged it. I blew it up on my copy machine until it was nice and big. So she's nice and big here. I'm trying to get her. Okay, so the original is this size, and then I blew this up so it's nice and big, so that you have something that you can actually see. Because if you don't blow something up nice, it's easier to work big, and then if you need to reduce it back down, then reduce it back down and print it out, as opposed to trying to paper piece this size. That'll drive you crazy. Yeah. So that's how I approached that. All right. Then I cut those apart, which I can't find my paper patterns. They're here somewhere, but I don't know where. And then I just used some of the patterned paper that I had. And as I cut it apart and then put it back together, this is the original, because I can feel the separation of the papers. And I put them back together on black cardstock and then cut around the black cardstock so it gave me an outline. Okay? And then I put back in the super simple features. So I drew the line for her tongue, her nose, this line, which is so prominent on a boxer, is that line in the forehead. She does look a little pit bull-ish. She was a boxer. She was a fawn boxer. So I could actually add some of the wrinkle lines into her forehead, which is very characteristic of them as well, and put that back together. And so these were all done on black cardstock. Then I put them back in the computer and I printed them out, and then I turned them into cards. Okay, so it was printing them out, and you can see, I'm sure, the difference in the color. So this is the HP inkjet printer I had then, and I put that on just a plain background of, something that was left over. So that's what I used for that, and then just added a word and added some details, whatever I decided to. So this was a little flower I cut out and then inked around it. And here's another one. So some of them I didn't put a background in. Some of them I just applied to the back of the, or just right onto the card, like this one, and just added, some whatever caption there was, and put a little heart on her chest. Here's the other one. So this is the other image. And in this case, I drew a little bone. I cut her mouth right here, and that way I could slip the bone in so it looked like she was holding on to the bone. Hello there. Put it on a background. And here's another one. So this is the same image printed out. So like I said, you can see the difference in the color when it prints out. And some of these I think that I actually glued the image onto the another piece of black cardstock. I think. I'm not sure how I did it, or totally for certain, because then when I printed it out, I can feel that it's got some depth. And so here I just cut her mouth and then put the flower out here and then just drew a stem. Or maybe I didn't cut it. Feels like I did. Anyway, so you kind of got it, right? And then I thought, well, if I have these big ones like this, because I printed some out just to see what they look like that were big, and so there's no reason that you can't go ahead and use the big ones. You don't have to have the full body of the dog or the full body of whatever. It's actually in some ways more interesting if it runs off the page. So that's what I did, and wrote "Live This Life" and attached a flower, and you can just go crazy and do all kinds of fun things. So all right, I'm going to make sure you guys are here, because there we go. The chat had kind of come to a halt, which is fine. All right, so that is the dog, and so I thought we might actually make some dog cards. let's look at, this is the amaryllis. So I did something similar. So here's the amaryllis. So remember that started with this card, or that picture. And I cut it, I traced the shapes of the amaryllis. So first of all, I traced it off the flower. Okay, so I traced it off, or traced the flower off of the photo. Okay. Then I cut it into pieces. So I made patterns for the various petals, and I decided which way I wanted to layer them up. So this was petal number 1, which I'm not even sure what, here, this is number 1. This may be that one. I don't know. It's been such a long time ago that I did these. Let's see if I can put this back together. Number 2. Okay, we're going to say that's number 2. I'm not entirely sure. 3. Maybe 3's over here. That looks more like number 3 there. And then 4. We're just gonna roll with it and say that this is the way I did it. Number 5, or number 5 would be, maybe would be here. I don't know. I don't know. And number 6. Something like that. I don't know. So I cut the various petals out of different jelly prints that I had. Okay, so that's what this is all done in, is jelly prints. You remember the flower? Oh, that's cool. And then I had the little stamens, antlers, whatever they are. So I had little images for those. And then I quickly got to the point where I went, oh no, I'm just going to randomly kind of cut those out. I'm not going to cut out little pattern pieces and try to keep up with those. So I just cut out little things and glued them on. So this is my original one that I paper pieced. Okay. And again, I inked around it and I put it on black cardstock so that it had an outline shape. So that's it went from this to this. Okay. Well, we had this stage too, so we had you know what I'm talking about. So then I made color copies. So this is, and this was a little bit bigger, I think. No, this is the same size. Okay, it looked bigger. This is the color print. And then I reduced them and I printed these out on white cardstock. So that's a smaller one. And I made a bunch of them. Because if you think about how to multiply your time, that's a good way to do it. So you don't have to you can always paper piece individual cards. For somebody really special, you could do that. On the other hand, if you want to make a bunch of your art into cards, this is a good way to do it. And if you have a good printer, or you can take your, print out your copies, or take the original and go to some place like Kinko's or someplace that has good laser copies, copy machines, and then you can print them out like that. And you do the work once. You're still going to have some time in it by printing them, cutting them out, mounting them to a card and that kind of stuff. But believe me, it's nothing compared to paper piecing all of those. All right, so here are some of the cards that I did with those. And this was where I realized that I really preferred the look of the image going off the card. So that's where I started doing that. So I've attached it just to the mat in the background, and then after it was cut and inked around the edge, then I attached it to the background. Here's another one. And you can see how differently they appear when you look at how the colors play against the different colors of the matte backgrounds. So here's another one. So this is the bigger, these are all the same size image. Yeah. And then I went back and I just colored in, emphasized the inner parts with a gold gel pen or something. Anyway, so there's that. And then here's the smaller size. And another one that has no mat at all. So you can see how this one is just on the card. Same size, but you know, turned a little bit. And then what it looks like when you have the image nice and big, so it runs off the edge. So I like them this way. I like them all, but you know, I really like those. Okay, so there's that. Those are jelly plate printed papers that I turned into that. Okay. Now, then there was the lily. So there's this one, the lily. And I did the same thing. I printed or traced it, simplified the shapes down to each petal to its essence. You would not want to do a flower that was too detailed, like a rose, for example, that had a whole bunch of petals. You would not want to do that, I don't think. Or a zinnia, unless you took the main shape of the outline of the flower and then you added the detail in either with colored pencils or pens or something to give the suggestion of petals, where this one you could actually do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 petals. And this is not too bad for paper piecing. And so that's what I did with this. And let's see if I can, I don't know exactly. Okay, that's the way that this photograph is. Okay, like that. And then I played with what way I wanted the orientation of the flower to be, but this is how it originally was inspired by the photograph. And these are these are scrapbook papers and some jelly prints. So this one's a jelly print. The rest of these are scrapbook papers. Just, you know, commercial scrapbook papers. And from that, I did exactly the same thing, where I scanned it in, printed them out, and then started playing with what do I want to do with this. And so I started in the original concept of doing them. Lie down. Lie down. I have to take care of my child. Just a moment. Lie down. She can't hear anything. Lie down. Lie down. Lie down. Come on. Lie down. There you go, little girl. She can't hear anything, so communication with her is very challenging. Anyway, so then I printed them out. So I scanned them in, printed them out, and made them the size that they would fit on the cards. So that was my first concept, and also twisted the flower a different direction than the original picture. And this one with the purple against the yellow against the purple, I really thought that was interesting. So there are those. And then I went back, and once I started playing with that idea of letting the image run off the edges of the card, then I printed some of them in the original size and played with that. So part of this is dependent upon the printer that you have or the copy place that you use, and how accurate they are with color. But here's the thing. If nobody sees the original, it doesn't make any difference how accurate the color is. That's all, in your own head, right? Yeah. I like it with the purple too. So those are some ideas for you to play around with and possibly make some of your own cards and so forth with. And I did a whole bunch of them. And I thought, well, maybe it would be fun to play with the dog, since the dog was done with scrapbook papers, commercial scrapbook papers. I thought maybe it would be fun to do her with, I have some jelly plate prints, a whole box of jelly plate prints and a whole box of paste papers. And I thought, well, maybe we'll do that and just, play with that for a minute. Okay. So here is my the original size that I had enlarged it up to, so it would be easier to work with. And so I thought I'll make some more copies, which I did just a little bit ago. Purple makes everything better, says Ruth. I know, right? And so I thought what we would do is, let's see if we can make some fun dogs. Okay? So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to cut her head off. I know. Now, even though I am reproducing these, they're all going to be unique because I'm not commercially producing them. I am producing them by hand. So I'm going to take her head. And if you really wanted to maintain the integrity of your pattern, then you need to trace it off or print it off on tracing paper or vellum. And then you can see through the paper, through the translucent paper, if you wanted to get specific designs, some place on your shape. I wasn't being that picky about it. And you could also, cut this into more shapes. Okay, so this could be a shape and that could be a shape. I didn't do that because I didn't find it necessary. So I didn't do that. So I'm going to do this all as one shape. One of the things I did with Wendy when I was a little girl, these were stories told to me by my mom. And one time I, for some unknown reason, got a hold of the baby powder. So remember, they got her when I was an infant. I don't know if I was crawling yet. I don't remember any of that. But somehow I got a hold of the baby powder, and it was probably one of those moments where you're just way too quiet, and then somebody comes to figure out what you're doing. And by the time they got to me, I think I had emptied the container of baby powder, and I had powdered. It's kind of like Shu talking about the colored powder, the festival in India with the colored powders, and they do all that. Well, that's what I did with baby powder for Wendy, and I turned her white. She was a fawn colored, which is tan, a tan colored boxer, and I had turned her completely white. Yeah, I can't even imagine what a mess that was. Poor mom. And then there was another time that my mom liked to tell me about, and for, I don't know, you know, there's this point in life where you discover, as a kid, you discover the difference between boys and girls. And I don't know if it's because we had puppies around, other puppies, because my oldest sister had a Cocker Spaniel that had a couple litters of puppies. I don't know if it was that, and they were talking about girl puppies and boy puppies, or kittens, or I don't know what the deal was. But anyway, apparently I was fixated on that, and at some point they heard me say, I guess I was real close to Wendy's face or something, and I said, "You're a girl, aren't you, Wendy?" You know how things are with kids, right? Your son did that when he was supposed to be. Yeah, my son did some stuff when he was supposed to be napping too. He sure did. And he made some messes as well. So some of these I know were prints from Amber. Okay, that one I like a lot. Some of these were leftover jelly plate pulls. Some of them were clean up the plate pulls. Some of them are, who knows what pulls they are. I think this one, Amber sent me some of her prints, and Ruth sent me some of her prints as well. So I am just looking at some of the prints in here to see. Gotta love some good hands, don't you? The metallic paints will not reproduce will not copy very well on the copy machine. So keeping the flat color is actually better than going with the metallic prints. Because the metallic reflects against the lights and all the action inside the computer and the copier printer. I'll get it out here in a second. And when that happens, you can get kind of a big mess. This was a print. This was from a VIP class that I did. The print has to be light enough that when you put the paint or ink pen on it, that it will show up. Here, this is a good one. Okay, let's do these two for the moment. It's always fun to have somebody else's prints and papers. Let's choose a couple of paste papers also. It's always nice to have somebody share with you, because for whatever reason, everybody else's stuff always seems like it's better than your own, right? Okay, that might be a good one. So these are paste papers. These are not done with a jelly plate. These are done with creating thickening paint. So you're thickening, that's a good one. Thickening paint with, I use the Elmer's Art Paste. And, sorry, I get lost in the world of just looking at the prints. And you paint the paste, which you've mixed into acrylic paint. You paint it so that I call it paste paint. You paint that on your paper, and then you draw into it. And the paint is thickened by the paste, and so it will maintain these great textures and definition and so forth. Okay, so I'm just looking through here just briefly to find some things that are possibilities. And I love having sheets that are multiple colors, because when they're multiple colors, then you have lots of options. And if you have multiple textures, visual or real, you have lots of options for choices when you are then using them. Okay. All right. So I'm going to stop looking, and I pulled out some selections. Now, if you don't have paste papers or jelly plate prints, you could use commercial papers, commercial scrapbook papers, or commercial cardstocks. Does not matter. Hello, Barbara. Good to see you. I know, having other people's things are just so much fun, you know? You haven't tried making paste paper? Well, don't start. Don't start. Because it will be the bug that bites you, and you will be in a position of having to have a new thing in your life that will make you crazy. Okay, now this would be better if these were on cardstock, but they're not. They're on paper, so I may get some variation in size and shape and what have you. Irregularities, in other words. All right, let's use this one. And let's use, and because I can do these or make something, or, you know, make different choices in the future, I'm not going to stress out about trying to make the best use of the paper. And I'm going to add some thickness up here. In other words, cut it out a little bit bigger than the pattern, so that I can have an overlap for when I put her head on. All right. Wendy was the sweetest girl, but I will tell you, if any of you, I don't know if any of you have been around boxers, but any dog that has a short snout like a boxer does, they can pass more gas. She could clear the room, that dog could. Okay, so there we got her, and I'm going to just leave this little line that I had here so I know where the overlap goes to. And then her head, let's see what we can do for her head. How about this one? I love making paste papers. It's been quite a while since I have done paste papers. Okay, let's just take a piece right here. I need to do them again. It's not that I necessarily need more paste papers, but what it does mean is that I have some new choices for selections of colors and so forth. Because I don't know about you, but I get to a point where I'm like, okay, I'm tired of looking at this group of papers. I've used these 100 times and I'm tired of that. And so I'm going to make some new ones. And jelly plate prints are the same way. It's like sometimes you just need some new things to play with in your stash of stuff. Okay. All right, let's see. And I don't always save all the teensy little scraps, but certainly you can. And if you're going to print these yourself, using your own computer and printer and so forth, you might want to play with the color settings. Like if you scan it into your computer, you might want to increase the vibrance or saturation of the color, because when it, and just play around with it, because when you print it back out, you may lose some of the saturation, or you know, the colors may dull down a little bit more than you want them to. So just kind of play around with it, or just be happy with what you get, you know. What is it Tim Holtz says? You get what you get and don't throw a fit. And sometimes that is, you know, that's a real good philosophy. Okay, so there's her little head. Yeah. Oh, that's what these are? Oh, that's neat. You remember making that jelly print? Cool. Yeah, I thought, you know, you kind of get used to your own style of how you make prints and stuff. And so when you get somebody else's prints, sometimes you look at, you go, no, I don't think I did that one. I think somebody else did that one. Because you kind of get used to your own style of things. And that's another thing that makes it so much fun to exchange things with other people. Because if you exchange, then you have a fresh, or just share some, just randomly share some stuff with other people, because it just gives you that little influx of new inspiration, maybe new color sense, you know, because somebody's using a different brand of paint or different color combinations. I find myself, I don't know, how about you guys? I find myself going back to kind of the same combinations of colors, obviously because I like them. And that's a good scrap. I might save those too to stick in my journal. Hi, Terry. You made your first paste papers 80 years ago in school. That's cool, Dorothy. Good for you. I'll tell you, our Dorothy has lots of stories to share with us and so many experiences. So many life experiences. Dorothy has been inspiring me and sharing things with me for a number of years. All right, so you can tell maybe by watching how long this is taking me just to cut out 2 body parts. You can tell how much longer it would take me to hand piece these for every card. It would take a while. And the other thing is, when you do put things together like the dog, you could piece it without adding any details at all. Scan it into your computer or just copy it if you have a printer that has that ability where you can just copy it and you're happy with the copies. So you could put this part this much together, just like this. scan it or copy it and print them out, and then you could print this on white cardstock just like this after it's put together, glued together. Then you could print those out, and then you could, once they're printed out, attach the image to black cardstock and cut around it so it looks like it's outlined, and then you can add in all the details. But you know, you would be doing it individually, so they would all have a slightly different expression, because you're not going to do any of them exactly the same way. Mama Juju crafting on the back 40. Now that is quite a name right there. For sure, that is quite a name. Mama Juju crafting on the back 40. That is a name. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a little bit of art glitter glue, and I'm going to put a little bit of art glitter glue in the space that is my overlap here. Hopefully, if my art glitter glue wants to cooperate. If not, I'm going to see if we can open the... Sometimes the glue doesn't want to cooperate. It's going to splurt out a nice big... It's apparently got a clog in it somewhere. Let's try one more time. Let me get a longer pin. See if we can encourage it, shall we say. Encourage it. It doesn't want to be encouraged today. All right, a little bit's coming out. Obviously, I'm going to have to take this apart. And soak the lid. All right, let's just stick this back in here for now. Okay, so there is there is our girl. Okay, so now she's ready for me to either make copies of her or decide whether I want to go ahead and add back the details. Do I want to or adhere this whole thing onto black cardstock and cut her out and then print the whole thing on a separate piece of cardstock? You have choices. In other words, it's totally up to you because you got choices. Let's do one more. So we have some new dogs to play around with. Okay, so now let's do something different than the other one. Let's do a green dog, yellow green dog, lime green dog. So let's do this one. And you know what else you can do is turn it over so you don't get hung up with what the pattern, you don't get hung up on what's happening on the front. If you're going to do that and you want it to be a certain way around, you can turn it face down. Okay, again, I'm going to give myself a little bit of an overlap. I'm going to give myself that. Whoops, I don't want that I only want the overlap where it's necessary. Oops. And if it slips a little bit, well, then you have a little bit of a new design. Okay, so there we have that. Let's go ahead and I'm just going to go ahead and cut this out, and we'll see what it is, what it looks like when I turn it over. And so far, everything I've used, which is a sum total of 3 papers, these are copy-weight paper, like 20-pound paper. I like the weight of cardstock. But I would love to see if you do anything like this or hear your experience, even if you don't post pictures. You can always post pictures on Instagram. I do not do Facebook, but I do Instagram. And I mean, it may fake you out sometimes on Facebook and say that I want to be friends with you, but we all know that that is the madness of scams and all of that. So if you ever get an invitation from me saying that we want to be friends, that is not me. That is someone impersonating me. So, but on Instagram, I like Instagram. So I love to be able to see what people do, and you can always get a hold of me there. And my Instagram handle, or whatever the thing is in the description box below the video. The at thing. See, I'm not a huge social media person. Should be, but I'm not. Okay, and then we gotta give her a head. So there's her body. And let's do her head. What do I want to do her head out of? This would be kind of fun just because. Let's use this one. Okay, so I'm going to pick a spot. I'm just going to pick this spot right here. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to draw around it. And if you really get into doing this, if you make your templates out of plastic, either quilter's template plastic, or if you have any old x-ray film, which I still have a ton of that left over from my doll making days, or plastic packaging, you can then your templates or your body parts or whatever or the petals for flowers, if you're doing them, they will maintain their integrity and they won't change shape on you, like drawing around paper or cardstock will continually change shape on you, which is not a bad thing. It's just that's the way it is. That's what they do. Okay, so we'll put this away. Wrong one. We already printed it. I was Distracted by the chat. Imagine. All right, I'm getting close to the end of this. And you can get as fancy with these as you want. You can ink around the edges. You can not ink around the edges. If you're going to ink around the edges, you might want to do it before you glued the pieces together. Like this is going to be much harder to ink around the edge here, but honestly I like it the way it is, so it's not going to bother me a whole lot. And same thing here. Do I want to ink around that? And I don't think I will. I think I'll leave it. Hello Carol, good to see you. All right, let's see if we can cajole this glue into. Nope, it is just not going to work. I have not had any trouble with this glue before right now. Have you guys had trouble with this? Stopping up in the spout somewhere? There, it's working a little better. The thing about it is, if it comes out too slowly, then by the time you get all the stuff on, all the glue on, what you put on the first time is dried up. So that's no good. All right, let's put her on here, and she may be a little. And the other thing is, if you want to give her a little more character, nothing says you can't twist the head and give it more character. So you can see this one. Boxers are famous for, probably other dogs too, but boxers in particular are famous for that head tilt, you know, where they get curious about the sound of something. Or if you're talking to them. Okay, come on now. If you're talking to them and they do that quizzical thing like, huh? Kind of like Scooby-Doo would, you know? Okay, so let's put this, I'm going to put this longer pin in here since it's being obnoxious for whatever reason. Okay, so there's that. All right, so let us, for the sake of just going forward and actually accomplishing something, let me get a piece of black cardstock. We're just going to glue this onto the cardstock, cut it out, and just finish these little dogs up. Okay, so this is Astro Bright. I'm sure that this came from Walmart. And it is 65-pound cardstock. I probably have some open cardstock someplace, but at this moment, this is what I could put my hand on the quickest. I keep getting notifications from my house. I have cameras on the house, and they alert me. The doorbell camera alerts me and says there's motion at your house. And you know what it is? Do you know what the motion is? Leaves. It's leaves and stuff blowing around because of we have wind right now. Okay, so let's come back to the dog and let's glue her down on the black cardstock just to do it. So I'm just using a Elmer's Extreme glue stick. I don't even know if you can still buy these. I still have some left over from when I bought a case of them. And it happens to be the glue stick that I really like. And so I'm going to try to give myself plenty of room. I also have Oohoo, Yoo-hoo, whatever, glue sticks. I got real close to the edge right down here. Try not to get quite that close to the edge. And I like the Oohoo, Yoo-hoo. I like those glue sticks too, but I actually prefer the Elmer's Extreme, personally. Alright, let's see if we can not get quite so close to the bottom this time. I have plenty of cardstock, so I don't need to really conserve that much. Okay, so there we go. The Elmer's purple glue sticks. I'm having to figure out where I put stuff, you know. So it takes me a minute. It's like, where again did I put the baby wipes? I mean, they're in a logical place and they're right behind me, but, you know, that doesn't mean that my eyes always see them. All right. Don't you love a do-nothing day, Carol? Ugh, for sure. Okay, so we have the dogs glued onto black. And then what I do when I'm going to do something like cut around, I will chunk it out to start with. Okay, so I chunk it out into a smaller piece, like so. Because I find it infinitely easier to work with if you've got a smaller piece to begin with. Yes, and so then I take a look at it and go, about how much do I want to leave for an outline? And so when you look at these, you can see that it's not a lot, maybe between an 1/8 and a 1/16 of an inch. Just sent my chat off into oblivion. Here we go. I don't know why things have to be quite so... Why do computer things have to be quite so touchy? So I'm just restoring my chat. There we go. Okay. No crafting at this minute. Oh, Dorothy, I'm sorry. I'm sorry about that. Okay, let's see. And normally I have this up real close to my face, so we're going to see how well I can do with this. I want you to see, though, what a difference the black outline makes. Especially on these kind of wild, almost highly contrasting colors that we got going on here. Now when I built the flower shapes, I built the flowers and then put them on, I inked around them and then put them on the black. So the inking helped separate the petals, but the black only went, the black only went around the whole bloom. So that, I do recommend that you do that, as opposed to if you try to back each one of the petals. I don't think you're going to be happy with that. I don't think you want to back each petal and cut it out, because by the time you piece it all back together, it's going to be so thick that you're going to have trouble getting a good flat image. If you decide you want to copy it or print it, scan it even, you're going to have a hard time getting a good image because it will be so thick. Okay, and then when you have this little section right in here, you can do one of two things. You can either scooch in there, like, let's see if I can do it. We'll see if I can. Scooch in there in between the parts and cut. So you can do it like that, and so you get that little space cut out, which looks better, I think. Or you can take a craft knife like this, and this is a self-healing mat, and you can actually cut out that little space using a craft knife. So you can do either one. If you're more confident with scissors, then by all means use the scissors. There you go, Amber. There you go. That's a good solution. When she's asleep, glue some scrap paper to her face. I bet you'll be glad you go through all this, Dorothy, in a lot of ways. And having somebody help you might be a great idea. Wendy was such a good dog. I don't know, I've had a lot of dogs in my life, dogs and cats, and there's not even just one of them that I would go, oh, that was a real questionable animal. you know? I know there are some difficult animals and difficult circumstances out there, but every animal companion I have ever had has had such a special place in my heart. I'll tell you what, I miss Chance. Boy, do I miss that crazy cat. You know, that voice that I thought just will grate on your nerves. That meow. And it just grates on you. Or it did me. I would love to hear that little voice again. That little cranky voice. He was such a character. So was Charlie. Boy, those two were such characters. Okay, so this time we'll use the craft knife. And it's good if you pull the knife toward yourself, but clearly you need to make sure that your fingers are nowhere near a blade that slips. One of the things that Clausman used to say is that you always had to know where the blade was going to go when it slipped. And as a wood carver, he knew that. And then I'm just going to give this a little trimming up. And I didn't do the best job there, but you know what? It's good enough. It is good enough. Okay. So there are two dogs. It is. To have the video is good. Oh, yeah. They weren't just, you know, Siamese cats never meow. They whine. They whine in the next room. They don't meow. They go meow. You know, they're always, oh, they could be cranky. They certainly could be cranky. Good boys they were. Okay, shall we put these on a card? Because why not? So we would have unique cards, one of a kind. Let's do this first. Let us do, let's add the features and stuff first. Okay, so we'll use this one as an example. So let's put the eyes in right about here. And about here. And they don't have to be identical to the original. And this line that comes down her muzzle. And then let's put her nose in right about. And I'm just doing it in pencil to start with. And is she going to look the same? Probably not. And that's okay. And give her a little tongue. And then she has these great wrinkles in her forehead. Let's see what she would look like if we put in some of those wrinkles. Yeah. Let's just give her some little wrinkles for something different, just for fun. And then we're going to give her her leg is going to come here. So there's her leg. And then she's got a toe back here on that foot, and she's got some toes here. And then her belly comes up like this. And then she's got toes right there and toes right here. Okay, and she had this little stump because they always dock a boxer's tail. And so, because they were fighting dogs originally, and so that's why they would dock their ears, cut their ears short, and cut their tails short, because they were fighting dogs, which I won't even tell you my opinion of, but you can guess. And anyway, so they would dock their tails. So they would have these little stumps of a tail. And so when she would wag her tail, she would wag her whole rear end, and that little tail would just go like, that little stump of a tail would just go like crazy. She was such a funny dog. She was such a funny dog. Okay, let's go ahead and do this other one too. And this one, because it's got some patterning in it, we won't do those worry lines on her face. So let's let me kind of get her. I'm going to put in her jowls this time first, and her tongue, and then I'm going to put the line down her nose just to do it differently, and do her little nose, and then her eyes. Yeah, that one doesn't look not quite where I wanted it. And then we'll put this one over here. Okay, good enough. And then we'll put in the lines for her body here, so her front leg comes around like this. Ooh, this is a hard one to see. And her tummy from this one comes around like that. Okay, good enough. Let me get some black pens and let's detail her. What's Loca doing? Vocal. Oh, is vocal almost every time I stream. Of course she is. Of course she's vocal, because that's what she should be. We wouldn't know how to act if she wasn't vocal. Okay, so let's see if what I have that I pulled out just because it was easy will work. So let's try the Lumicolor. Hey Becky, up from your nap. Good for you. Hi Dana. Yeah, that's exactly what the boxers would do. It's the same thing. Their whole rear end moves like about 1,000,000 miles an hour. It's so funny. Okay, let's do this one. So I'm just using a Lumicolor by Statler permanent pen, which probably means it's going to take a fat minute for it to dry. In that case, you got to work so that when you are working across your piece, you're not going to lay your hand right in the ink. Hopefully. All right, so we'll give her a nose. And I'm just going to color her nose a flat, solid black. And one of the things that I'm not going to color her muzzle black, but boxers have a black muzzle, but we're not going to do that because we're just using it as a suggestion. Okay. And so one of the things that I do like doing though is giving them the kind of these spots for their whiskers. I won't put the whiskers in, but I'm just going to put so you can call them freckles or you can call them whisker spots, whatever you want to call them, okay? And then let's come down here. And put in some toe marks. And I may have too many toe marks, but you know what? It's okay. It's okay. Give her an extra little toe there. Okay? And so there's that one, and then from there you can do what you want. You could add bow ties, you could add accessories, you could add all kinds of fun things to them. Let's do this one. Let's do this one with the worry lines just because I'm curious as to how it's going to look. And they also need to have a sparkle dot in the eyes with a white pen, and probably a white paint pen would be the best. Alright, so let's go worry line, worry line, worry line. Color in a nose. Sometimes the light starts shining on the marker and it's hard to see whether I've got it totally colored in or not. Okay, let's give her her little jowls, her little tongue, and give her some whisker dots or some freckles, whatever you prefer to call them. Yeah, she looks kind of worried. That's how she looked. Okay, and so there she is, all decked out, and she's ready to go on a card. Other than she needs a sparkle dot, so let's find a white pen and put a sparkle dot in. Get a piece of black cardstock so we can see if this pen's going to work. Hi, Kathy. Okay, let's give her a place to look. Be sure when you add the sparkle dot, it's off of the center mark and it's on the same side of each eye. So if it's on the right on one eye, it needs to be on the right on the other eye. That gives them where they're looking somewhere. Okay, so at this point, let me get some card bases and we'll just play with what the card bases might look like. So let me do that. right, here's a selection. This will be enough of a selection that we'll be able to get the idea. These come from one of the craft stores. This one I think is from Hobby Lobby, Paper Studio. I think that's their brand. So let's just get a selection of colors out, and we'll just look at them and see. Okay, so let's look and see what they might look like. If we just use them just the way they are without backing them with another piece of, like with another mat, okay? So we'll just slip some in behind here so you can see. So these are pre-folded, pre-done card bases. And what if we switch them the other way? Let me put that one on brown and that one. Okay, what if we use green? And this is, sometimes I will go through this and I will, you know, torture myself looking at all the different options, and sometimes I just simply pull out a card and go, nope, that's good enough, and put it on. And because this is oversized, if you want to put them, tilt them, you can give them even more character if you tilt them. And then there's yellow. You can see how different they look depending on what's behind them. Pull them down. Aren't they fun? You like the brown on this one, Amber? Is that the one you like the brown with? And here's purple. That'll make your eyes go a little wonky, won't it? You like the orange with this one? Or you like the orange with the green? You like the orange with the green. Makes it come alive, doesn't it? All right, how about, and sometimes you have these just weird colors that, you know, that are just sort of nondescript, strange colors, but they're great for a background. You know, it's a weird color, but it actually looks nice with that. And then this one is kind of this weird coral color. And how those just, I don't know, I think they're a lot of fun to try out with different things and just see what they look like. Okay, here's red. Let's see what this ought to really make your eyes go crazy with the red. Look at that. And then this might calm this one down or mute it too much, or it might look fine. Who knows? Actually, I like that. That picks up this color in here. It is like Andy Warhol. Yeah, him. Andy. Our friend Andy. But you can just see how different the colors look. And also just by looking at the way that the head is turned, and the way that the adding the worry lines and stuff, what a difference that makes. The other thing that I will do is come in here and outline around the head, probably, just because I happen to like that. On these, before I put these together, I inked around them. So there's just a real subtle ink line under there and here also. So it just helps to separate the head a little bit more. Anyway, so you kind of get the idea of how you can take your own artwork or an old photograph, which is what this is. They're old photographs from, well, this dog was born in 1953 and she died in 1966. So these are old photos. The fact that I still have these are pretty cool. I have pictures of her with me in the playpen. That's how old these pictures are. Anyway, so yeah, use that maybe as a point of inspiration and just have fun with it. See what you can do. I'd be interested to see what you do with it. Okay, I will be back Monday night, and Monday will play a little bit more in the Collage This Journal. And until then, I hope you guys have a super creative weekend, or whenever you're watching, I hope you're being creative, because, you know, it's, I highly encourage you to get creative every day. It's not hard. In fact, it's pretty easy. So I will see you before you know on Monday, and then I won't be back until the 7th, I think it was, or 8th of April. All right, you guys, I will see you then. Have a good one. Bye for now.